Hi everyone, Ksenia Pros here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a very special video because finally I'm talking about my personal story of how I moved to the US and started my full-time photography business. So keep on watching. So if you already watched some of my videos, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, my name is Ksenia Pro. I'm a portrait and fashion photographer and I specialize in maternity photography. I'm based here in the US, very close to Washington, D.C. in Maryland. I'm also an educator and coach for photographers, and I just started my online photography course that is called Luxury Maternity Photography Academy, where I teach everything from how to shoot, to edit, to light, to pose, and to build your business around luxury maternity photography. So if you are interested to learn more from me, make sure to follow the link in the description of this video to join the wait list. But let's get back to today's video. So for those of you who don't know, I'm actually a first-generation immigrant. I came here from Russia with my husband, and we moved here in 2012. But my immigration story started long time ago. I had multiple failed attempts to move somewhere to some kind of English-speaking country. I was obsessed with living abroad ever since I was 14. And then when I was 15 or 16, I was actually almost moved to the US to spend a year studying abroad. There was an exchange program. So I was one of the finalists. There were like multiple steps. You had to take the English test. Then they had an interview, and for some reason they didn't pick me. So I received a letter all the way from Washington, D.C. in my small little town in Russia, and it was a rejection letter. Of course, I was disappointed, but now looking back, I understand that I would have not been ready because my English it was pretty good. And I think I would have done okay, but now looking at how high schools are here in the US, it's like next level. So I'm glad that I didn't go here when I was like that young. And then third year in college, I almost moved to the US again for the summer program, which is called Work and Travel program. But I couldn't do it at the time for personal reasons. So again, that was like a failed attempt. It was just a once, but I couldn't do it. And when we actually with my now husband, then he was my fiance, we were looking at the options on how to get work, get jobs or internships outside of Russia. And we were looking in the US, but we're also considering Canada, New Zealand, Australia, those countries as well. So first we started with looking for internships in the US because I was still in school. I was finishing school. I was like last year of college. He was in the master's program as well. So we're both kind of in school. So we were eligible to get internship abroad. He found an opportunity very quickly. They reached out to him, started the paperwork process. It was not an immigration process. It was more like a temporary visa to come work and get an internship. However, the embassy in Russia at the time, they didn't approve his visa. So he was really disappointed. And I was too, honestly. But again, on the bright side, we were not married. So if we were to get different visas and we were to move abroad, and there was no guarantee that we'll get internships in the same state even, so it could be like cross country, and I don't know what would have happened with our relationship. Anyway, long story short, his employer actually offered him to work remotely for the meantime, and they offered him to start the work visa process, like the actual H-1B process. And back in the day, it was much easier to get an H-1B visa compared to now. Now they have a lottery because there's like so many applications. We were lucky. That was like the last year before it got really terrible. So in 2012, it was not that hard to get that type of visa, at least for our country. So we actually got approved and we got married. So we were married. So I was automatically getting a spouse visa. So we were excited. And we moved to the US in October 2012. So it's been 9 years. And only this year, a few months ago, we received our citizenship. So for the first few years, I wasn't allowed to work, so I couldn't do much. I was staying home mostly. I had a volunteering position in the local town. I didn't drive, so it was not fun looking back. And I was definitely struggling because coming from a busy life, from a big city, and having all the friends and everything, so I was pretty active all the time. It was really hard for me because I had to stay home most of the time, and my highlight of the day was my husband coming home. And my highlight of the week, when I found that opportunity, was the walk, an hour walk to a local art center where I would volunteer for like half a day and walk back home. But at the same time, because I was still young, I was like 23 years old, so it was more of a fun, kind of like a different new lifestyle for me. So I was trying to just like do my best, and I'm that kind of person who would always find the silver lining in anything. And also I would always find something for me to do, something positive, something fulfilling. So it was actually, I started teaching online back then, just for free in Russian language. So I was just giving classes online, photography classes online, because I've already been doing photography for a couple of years. It was just like basic classes, but people loved it. And I also was just taking pictures to like practice photography, because this is something that I started maybe a couple of years before we moved here, but I wasn't taking it too seriously. It was more like a hobby and an extra cash on the weekends, because I had a full-time job. So I'm kind of grateful for that time, for that vacuum that I was in. I was staying in the house, but I had all this time, and I didn't have any commitments because I didn't have a job, I couldn't work, I didn't go to school, so there was nothing for me to do except for turn inwards and see what I loved doing actually the most. So I started practicing photography a little bit more, started taking offering some free shoots for my friends, and just like exploring and just being creative with it. So I had a very cheap camera, and I think I had two lenses. So it was like Rebel XTI, like I can't remember what the camera was. It was Canon 450D for European market, for those who are familiar, because I brought it from Russia. And I had the first lens that was the kit lens. It's like 18 to 55 millimeters, 3.5 to 4.5 or 5.6. And I had a 51.8, which was my favorite lens to use at the time, because it would give you like a beautiful bokeh. Even though with those lenses, I was creating beautiful pictures, and I had a flash, so I learned how to use that. And eventually we were renting like a basement. It was pretty big because it was like it was half a floor with a bathroom, and it was like an open floor plan, and we had a balcony door with some kind of daylight. And I turned one corner into my little kind of studio, so I would bring friends over there to just like practice some pictures. I bought like the cheapest strobes with my husband's money, of course, because I didn't have mine. So I was practicing photography that way, and I was loving it. And also I was practicing my editing skills as well, because I learned Photoshop my third or fourth year in college. When we had summer break, I just dove right in, and I was just like learning everything about Photoshop, editing pictures all summer long. So it was like a couple of months of free time basically that I was spending on perfecting my skills. And then what happened is in 2015, finally we got green cards. So I was good to go to actually start charging for my photography. At the time, I'd already been doing a lot of collaborations, photo shoots. I love fashion photography, so that's what I've been doing. And I was submitting my work to magazines. So I was just doing some photography for fun, but at the same time, I've been meeting people from this area, other creatives, business owners, and some people who potentially, they actually started building my network and started spreading the word about me, even though I didn't even have my business. I didn't even charge anything. So in 2015, 2 weeks after we received the green cards, I filed for an LLC and officially started my photography business. And I never looked back after that. I started with photographing mostly bloggers, influencers, and I love doing this thing because I love fashion photography, so this is exactly what I was looking for. But after 3 or 4 years doing that, it's just, I realized that I'm actually not making enough money. It was a lot of work, it still is, because I still have some of those clients. It's a lot of work, it's very high volume, but I didn't charge enough, and I know that at that time in that market there was not a lot of money, so they couldn't even pay me more. However, my business was growing pretty quickly over the years, and I got so busy so fast. And again, partially thanks to working with influential people in my area, like Instagram influencers and local business owners, or just local pillars in the community. And then in 2017, 2018, I got my reality check because I looked at my numbers and I wasn't making as much money as I thought I was, because a lot of what I've been making went towards taxes, expenses, all of those things, and I barely had enough to cover my personal expenses, even though I've been working 100 hours a week, photographing, editing, working with bloggers, taking some other portrait sessions, anything that I could find, photographing events, kids, anything. Clearly not working for me. So in 2019, I finally started making changes in my business, and I talk about those changes inside my Luxury Maternity Photography Academy. And here I am it's like October 2021. I'm an owner of a multiple six-figure photography business. I have a team of people working with me. I launched my online course. I have this beautiful studio space here, and it's just been wonderful. So what I can tell you is there's no limitations except the ones inside of your head. There could be different circumstances, and I understand that. Everybody's different. So maybe I was lucky in a way. However, people or circumstances will limit you if you let them to. There's always a way. You just have to give yourself a permission to look for the new way of doing things. That was a little profound, right? If you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment under the video below. If you want to hear more about my story and the struggles in the first years after moving to the US, because it was not easy, it was not pretty. So that was a classical American dream story. As always, don't forget to give me thumbs up, because more people will see my videos and hopefully I will help them with their photography businesses. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell button, because you don't want to miss my new videos. There's more good stuff coming out soon. Okay, that was Ksenia Pro, and see you in the next one. Bye.